welcome to the first episode of our new chapter of Halley's Children, Ticonderoga. We are streaming Rainbow, and we've been doing this particular story since we started. This is the third chapter, but if you're just joining us, don't worry, I'll fill you in. I am Seraphina Smith, the game master for this game, and here joining me are the heroes of Hastings, Lara as Ida, David as Halbfor, and Cameron as Anoush. And finally, the Belgrade Brigadier, Courtney as Jelena. Halley's Children is played with Fate by Evil Hat Games, with a power system taken from the Fate Venture City expansion. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy the story. A list of possible content warnings is included with the video description below. I hope you'll give it a look over, as we want everyone to have the best experience possible with our content. Another note we'd like to make, due to the setting of this game, there will be some representation of Indigenous Americans of the time and their tribes. We shall attempt to make any such portrayals as honest and informed as we can. And we have also included links in the description to Native organizations that we encourage all of our viewers to support. Now, that filling in I promised. Starting at least as early as 2700 BCE, Halley's Comet has been visiting the solar system, and with it sometimes brings a falling star, which when it gets to Earth empowers those that encounter its fall with mysterious abilities and immunity to aging. These empowered people through the ages have inspired many stories of gods and heroes. The fallen star also contains clues to finding the next star that will fall, and so these newly immortal people have followed the comet's appearances throughout history, some to gain more power for themselves, others to aid and guide those newly empowered, or both. But an unfortunate event, specifically the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 CE, destroyed their most recent clue before it could be deciphered, and so for 1,000 years the thread was lost. We joined the story ourselves in the year 1066, when during the invasion of England by William the Conqueror, the town of Hastings was visited by such a falling star, and 15 people, residents of Hastings as well as Norman forces, became superhuman in a moment. Halbfor, Ida, and Anoush avoided capture by the Normans, while Robert of Yu rounded up the rest of the empowered peasantry and held them prisoner, taking one to be executed by William for witchcraft. The heroes of Hastings rescued their compatriots and managed to reobtain the falling star from Robert before escaping to start new lives. The next time the star fell was 1456 in Belgrade, where the heroes of Hastings met Jelena and Mila, who became the next empowered people when the meteor hit the city wall they were now walking next to. With the surprising help of Robert, who in the preceding centuries had come to a change of heart, they survived the siege of the city by the Ottomans and also met some of their predecessors, specifically Gilgamesh and Loki, who were happy to find them and aid them as best they could. In the following centuries, the empowered people, those who came before and those from Hastings and later, came together in more communal ways. An island home was created called Eternitas, where any of them could make a home for a while or visit during their travels. Otto and Edmund, two seafaring souls from Hastings, kept everyone as connected as a bunch of people all over the world could be with no form of international communication set up. Semi-regular gatherings were held every half century or so. Preparations were made for the next starfall in 1759 at Ticonderoga. And that brings us to now. But before we go further, we're going to start with some prologues. I'll begin. It is late in 1702. In Eternitas, the island sanctuary that functions as a meeting place, rest stop, and sometimes a home for the world's empowered people, a wake is being held. One of their own, Askelin of Hastings, has died after being thrown from a horse. The people gathered here have spent the day remembering the man, telling stories, and generally being somber. That phase of the day has passed, and there is a crowd assembled in the common area, drinking and socializing. Some talk of Askelin, some talk of the Great Northern War going on against the Swedish Empire, some are just using the opportunity to catch up with their comrades, who they rarely get to see. In the corner, Vermund is blowing a gentle tune on a flute. The music lilts through the room, providing those who hear it with a pleasant, relaxing rhythm. Across the room, a medium sized table is jostled a bit by the excited hand motions of Phillimore, who is animatedly telling a story of when Asclin saved his life during a tumultuous battle in the 9 Years' War. When he comes to the end of his story and takes a drink, Gilgamesh lifts his own tankard and, in a moment of poetic inspiration, makes a toast. In the acts of our tenacity, he says, long may we endure. Perhaps it is the moment when mortality is so close in everyone's mind. Perhaps it is simply that the empowered people gathered there were in need of a common phrase to get behind. Perhaps it is the fact that Hild, who usually reserves herself due to the power of her voice, takes up the toast. Whatever the reason, the whole room echoes back, long may we endure, for a moment with one voice. After that, it becomes almost a call sign, a catchphrase that spreads throughout the population of empowered people. Something that all of them can get behind. For some, it represents their own struggles to survive in a world that would turn on them if it had the chance. For others, it represents the ongoing efforts to find and support new members of their community and help them to survive. Then there are the ones who use those words to remember their friends who have gone and think on the people they could still lose. In any case, it spreads. I wonder what it will mean to each of you. Who would like to give the next prologue?
I will go for it.
Excellent.
Um, so Ida has had many faces and many names in the time since it all started. Um, we now find a wolf pacing outside of a snowy military camp. The wolf, who is gray and has bright gold eyes, looking ancient and timeless, and also very focused on a particular person wandering through this camp setup. As Ida spots an old friend, uh, Robert, looking different. You know, they're used to Robert taking on different styles and different monikers, and but always kind of having the same air of just douchebaggery that is Robert of Ew, in fact. The wolf makes their way through the shadows around and slips into the what has to be the best tent, the most put together, and the most well appointed. It's very cozy. There's so much fur, and because God forbid this man be uncomfortable in the new world, he's so rich he can handle it. He can have anything he wants. Um, and then Ida just kind of sits uh, outside of the door, whatever a doorway would be in this situation, but outside of the view of anybody else, but mostly just kind of sitting and watching as a wolf, just sitting and watching this man as he goes about his business. It's a few years before the fateful time that we are awaiting for. Probably what, 3 years, 4 years. I guess it would depend on how early Robert would make his way to the New World for his
Oh,
part of it.
yes. He's been here for a while. He's in
Yeah.
command of the British forces in the New World, so he's yeah. You can have a few years for sure.
Yeah. Um, and after watching him there's a they just give a, like, not quite a growl, almost like a chuff, like a tiger like chuffs at people, just kind of like a huff of a wolf noise, to get his attention.
At first, it doesn't seem like he notices, um, but then he looks up, and as is normal for Robert, he is not surprised by your appearance. And he comes in and he says to you, I can have them make some tea for us if you'd like.
The wolf cocks its head a little bit. And then, in a way that is honestly, like, never not creepy, we will not go into detail, transforms back into transforms into an older body at this point, um in the appearance of the local nations, but stooped and, um, wrinkled, and with two braids down each side, with a tattoo of, for somebody who isn't part of the culture, maybe they wouldn't know, but this is a symbol of the wolf, um, uh, of the Mohican tribe that is in the area, and a gravelly voice pipes up and says, "Long may we endure."
Long may we endure. What
It's
brings
he's
you here?
Well, I got wind that you were here, and I thought I want to see what you're up to.
Waiting for the proper moment, just like everyone else. Only I plan to be at the head when it comes to pass. So I have a lot to gather.
They settle in. They find a fur to wrap themselves up in, because they don't. This isn't the Hulk. They don't have clothes. They're just naked.
Yeah,
They were a
there's plenty
wolf.
of furs to go around.
Yeah, so they figured. So they wrap up. Um, yeah, and in response to him wanting to be at the head of whatever happens here.
Mhm.
Uh, well, it's nice to know that you're still consistent. I have found that perhaps I'd rather be in that position as well. So I've come to see how our efforts might align.
Well, what is it you're offering?
I have been here for many, many years. I am very familiar with the peoples that are here. I have spent a lot of time amongst them, learning their ways, so I have insight and connections. I can tell you now that these are a vast and wildly different group of people. These There are many different nations, all within what we would consider close proximity to each other, and none should be treated like a monolith.
Unless you speak wisdom, what do you want from me?
I I
What is that noise?
It's my dog.
Oh, sorry.
It's
It
a
sounded like
wolf.
it was getting louder. I got a little concerned.
It's a wolf. He's in the background. Hi, babe. He just wants to be here. He wants to be heard. Um I think it goes without saying that there has been a lack of trust amongst us and you
For
in
good reason.
the past. I would ask for um open communication in both directions. I feel like perhaps we finally want something like the same thing. And I want to start to believe that I can trust what you say. So,
And if you can't, it's not a bad idea to stay close to me.
exactly.
Again, I hear nothing but wisdom in your words, and I am happy to make communication as open as possible.
Excellent. I, as probably unsurprising as this sounds, I tend to go through cycles. I don't wear a face for longer than makes sense for a natural person.
Indeed.
So I will be moving on to a different group and a different face. Um, I can tell you that I will be staying amongst the what is known by the Westerners, the Mohican Nation.
I've heard. Yes. All right.
So I help me. I help me. Yeah, I help me always. I help
Good.
you. You help me. And if one of us does something that the other person doesn't like, we have a conversation about it, perhaps,
Mhm.
instead of drawing weapons.
I think that's an excellent idea. I've been thinking about you a little bit from time to time, and the world doesn't accept you, as far as I've seen.
No.
I think that makes the world unworthy of you, and I think we should change it.
Well, I don't think that my worth has anything to do with it, but I won't disagree with the sentiment. Um, when the tea is brought in,
Mhm.
they kind of toast a little bit, say, to new endeavors.
New endeavors.
Yeah. And then I think they just like kind of spend some time like catching up and
Sure.
like getting the lay of the land and taking in some information before turning into a wolf and just kind of padding out of the tent with the promise of keeping tabs.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Up next.
Come on.
Okay.
Oh no, I got you. I got you. I just had to get my mic. Let's start when Gilgamesh says his line.
Mm-hmm.
this phrase, long may we endure. I think that's when Anoush breaks.
Ooh.
I think that means something more profound to everyone than it does to Anoush. To Anoush, that's his curse.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 1,000 years old. This man looks younger than when he found the first comet. The blood in his body has been something he could feel, control ever since Belgrade. And it's almost like it speaks to him when he's alone. This rush of power he can constantly feel. It gets exhausting after a while, not physically. He feels more grounded, more powerful, more lost than ever. And that's when he leaves. He knows where the next comet is going to fall. And he starts to build, brick by brick, stone by stone, tunnel by tunnel. He starts a ginormous project. And by the time it's over, there is a fortress that he is constantly maintaining. His long romance, some would say, has fell to the wayside. Even his experiments, I think, have taken a dip. There is this obsession over what this new thing will bring when it falls from the sky, because the mundanity of life is something Anoush will always have. But every so often, something comes to shake it up, and he is going to be ready. It is cold outside, and yet he still works in loose clothing, these linens he rarely changes. No furs. The pain of the cold has gone numb. And he is bereft of fatigue ever since the last time this new power was activated in him. It is almost like a continuous power source is just fueling his limbs as his mind is active elsewhere. It is kind of the only thing that brings him peace, this work, this labor. And it gives him a lot of time to think. I think we come up to Anoush seeing a stone that is overgrown, interrupted. It is the water has invaded its cracks, and the ice is pushing it apart, and he can tell that it is a weak link in a wall, and he is carefully removing it to replace it with something stronger. And he's doing it very meticulously with a small tool as to not disturb the rest of the integrity of this wall. It will probably take him hours. Once it's finished and the stone is replaced, if you watched him do this, you could see his joints start to freeze up at moments and frostbite start to set in. And then a rush of pink revitalizes his hand and he starts all over again. By the time he's done, he is blue and he can barely move until he sits and he focuses. His eyes have these bags underneath them, just like they are almost the only thing that has aged in these 300 years, because the rest of his body is fit. It is taut, as some might say. And he walks barefoot in the snow to a hatch that is covered in hay, unlocks it. There's a large metal lock upon it. Opens it up, climbs down a ladder into utter darkness. I think he walks about a mile in this darkness. He doesn't need torchlight. He's done this many times. Until a small lab is set up. There are beakers and tables. There are scrolls and books. There's all sort of equipment. Some of it is like half finished, half invented. But there is a microscope. And there's blood underneath it. There are no jars of heads, though. He's done with those experiments. He sits down in an uncomfortable chair to most, but to him, just the act of sitting is comfort enough. Pulls a book off the wall, and he starts to read it for probably the 100th time, committing it to memory. And he sits in that silence, knowing that everything around him, this wood, this paper, this knowledge, will deteriorate, and he will endure. Alone. Everybody's so quiet.
You said the sad thing.
Yeah.
My brother is having a mental breakdown in a hole in the ground. Okay.
When was the funeral again? I'm sorry. What year was that?
That was in 1702.
1702. Okay.
Yeah. So 57.
And then Hastings was
56.
56. Okay. Yeah. I think we find Halbfor early in the morning. There is in his own study that he built behind the outpost that is the newest fishery outpost of Ragnar Fishing Industries, and it which is originated in Holland, and now has an outpost in New Orleans, and is probably about somewhere around the 1750s. It's had a new one posted in France, or sorry, in Canada, in French Canada.
New French.
And behind this outpost that also has the first Ragnar Trappings Co. A fur trading company. It is built into the side of a hill that just is on the edge of the water, and underneath that hill in the back, where Ragnar and Jelena's residence is, there is a secret door to his own set of tunnels that predate by about 200 years the ones that Anoush made. And in his study, there is there's a fish tank with some eels that looks like there's some wires connected to them. There is a small forge. There's tons of books and scrolls from all over, from all different continents in different languages, including a section of Halfthor's own notes and writings and histories, some that are meant for quote-unquote the ages, and some that are meant to only going to be here until the next time they go back to what is it called? What was the name?
Eternitus.
Eternitus. Some that are only temporarily stored here until they can go to the official library in Eternitus. And he is huddled over. Next to him on his workbench, there's a candle that is much lower than he thought it should be because he hasn't paid attention to it in a while. And he is currently drawing his own blood and trying to get poke these eels to get an electrical signal to the blood. When that inevitably fails and he still sees the little things, the little passengers in his blood underneath his rudimentary microscope, he bangs the table, frustrated, looks at the candle and sees that it is a few hours past when it should have been, rushes out of his study and goes to head out in the early morning to hunt something, so that he has an excuse when he gets back for being out in the morning. So once he finds a suitable prey and is lugging it over his shoulders, somewhere around like 9 a.m., he heads back and comes the front side of the gates to the outpost. He's pretty friendly with the fishermen who use the port, their small little dock to cast off of, and is as he goes through, there's a few, not very many, but a few stalls of people selling various wares to hunters passing through, or fishermen. There's a net repair, small little community, and as he drops the buck off at the butcher, after, and closes the door and skins and treats it with his own mind, in approximately 5 minutes, he heads to see his young assistant Hurt, and says, how are things this morning?
Oh, my hurt? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No problem.
I thought that's what we said. This was
I don't know, Sarah. Sarah, are you hurt? Are you okay?
Hurt.
Are you hurt?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
We cannot do this
pause for a
in
second?
my prologue.
We're all hurt.
I thought that was what we had talked about.
No, it's all good.
Oh.
Yeah. Ragnar?
Oh, sorry. Halfthor is going by the name Jean-Michel
Jean-Michel.
to be
I
appropriate
quit.
for
I
the
actually quit.
region. So
I mean, listen, guys,
that's what Hurrit knows his name as.
we all
Jean-Michel.
appreciate it.
All right. We'll cut that bit out. All right.
No, Ragnar was his friend.
Oh, right.
That's why he named it all after.
Jean-Michel.
Bonjour. Comment ça va? I'm just joking. I know you never learned French.
I understood well enough. I'm do well. And what brings you to my side this morning?
Oh, just checking in, ensuring my family's legacy is being carried out,
Well
stewarded
tended
well.
to, as it is every day. Yes.
Very well, very well. Have you seen Jelena around?
No, but if I do you want me to?
No.
warn you,
I was up a little early. I just have a little. We just need to have a conversation.
Is this something I should be privy to?
No, I'm probably gonna get scolded a little bit, and then but it'll be fine.
Oh, excellent. Well,
Things pass.
I'll be sure to listen for the scolding.
Yes, I know you all enjoy hearing me dress down. It is. I know it
You
raises
enjoy it.
morale for the men. I did. Was hoping we could talk about. And I'll say this is like a few years before the war.
Okay.
Tensions are rising between the French and the English.
When the tension's not rising between the French and the
Something tells me this time is going to be different, and I think you're going to need to trust me on that. I want to, one, stress the importance of our neutrality. We do not pick sides. We do not favor. Those that come sell whole animal. And whether they are French, Indian, or whatever tribe, they will be turned away if not. The other part. And at this, he's just making sure no one is in the small office that is acts as both accountant and manager office for Hurrit. There's going to be Hurrit, I need you to sit for a second.
All right, but if I'm sitting, I'm not working.
You can take a break. Remember when you were much younger and when negotiating for this land, you were amazed somewhat in the way that I was able to know exactly how low the man was willing to go to sell and how desperate he was.
I assumed you'd gotten some inside information.
Yes. Did you assume that every time I've been able to pinpoint an insecurity, hint at a secret, guess when you are on the edge of being burned out?
I'm not sure I know where this is going.
I would like to read his mind. Success.
Okay. Right now, he is very curious. He has often seen you as a semi-supernatural figure. Just like that guy can do this weird shit. Who knows? I don't know why. Who knows? Weird stuff. Um, but he doesn't like suspect you or anything of being supernatural. He is currently very confused about where you're going to.
In his head, Halffor says, "What if the legends are all true?"
He falls off the chair.
I don't let him hit the ground. And I gently stand him up.
What is going on?
And again, with the door closed, and Halffor standing in between him and the door, Halffor will. Can we make sure it's not catastrophic? It's not. Oh, that's 4 pluses. So it's really good. He's really gentle when he does this one. Similar to Jelena, but not as intimate. As he's not as emotionally charged, there's not like as much of a bleed over in some of the more personal and tragic moments. So it is very meticulous. There is he shows quick highlights of Hastings, and then just places that it would have been impossible for Jean-Michel to be around. And I think if I can, with that pretty incredible, what's superb +4? Is it legendary? I would love to be able to sort of make sure. I think as Halfthor's powers have grown in this, he's at first it was just learning. It's like learning to dance, right? First you're just learning the steps, and then you learn the rhythm of your partner and how to not step on. And then when you get to the most advanced level, you can essentially dance with anyone and find that really easy, right? And I think Halfvor's at that point in his powers where when he's on, he's very much able to know the limits that someone's mind can take. So he makes sure to expand this person's mind, Hurt's mind, in a way that probably highlights Jelena in Belgrade, and this is like sort of where it ends, of someone who was normal, who now came into this. And I think even like wordlessly conveys Halfthor's thoughts of, I want to give you this opportunity. Our community needs more people like you. And conveys that this, of all the people I've met that I would consider worthy, there is only a small handful and only one that fits the timeline. And this is a gift I offer you if you would take it.
In his mind, you can see the thoughts are racing by. The theme of the thoughts are that he is now seeing you as something supernatural, something beyond human, and trying to discern whether you really are a force for good, as he thought, or if there is some deception here and he's dealing with some sort of unpleasant spirit, is where he's at.
For the first time in probably like a couple minutes, Halfthor opens his mouth and talks. He pulls a small pouch of gold from his waist. He puts it on the table and says, "You've been granted leave. I want you to take a few days. Go wherever you like. That's enough to take you truly anywhere. If you want to come back, come back. If you want to live forever, you can come back and live forever. If you want to come back and act like you've never known this before, I can make that happen as well. The choice is fully and freely yours." In 5 years, the comet will fall, and the world will be different. I don't know how, but I know that every time it has, nothing's been the same. You can be a part of writing that story, or you can just be another person affected by it.
This is big. All right. I will take your money, and I will take your time, and I will think.
Do as you must, but do it outside of this office. I got a lot of work to do. You're much better at this than me, and
I really am.
figure out your notes.
Right.
All day. God damn it.
He takes the gold and walks out of the door.
And yeah, Halbfor does the job for however long.
You see him again a few days later. And he doesn't say anything. He just nods.
Halbfor brings him into an embrace and says, "Thank you. I was so behind." And heads to find Jelena with a small smile on his face.
Speaking of Jelena.
Yeah. Speaking of Jelena, I think as the time has happened since Belgrade, we're going to do just a few little insights to what her days have looked like. She found a profound love for playing the cello, and we see her playing on a cliffside at Eternatus, tears streaming down her face, as this is the first time she's had to deal with loss of someone she's considered family since her mother. And then years later, standing on a dock while Halbfor is giving direction to a fisherman that's running his vessel as they're going over the books, and she's talking excitedly about some new practitioner she's met that practices divination, to her handing a newborn child and placing it on an eager, although exhausted mother's chest, as an anxious but elated father is waiting to embrace them both. And she steps outside to give good news to those who are waiting, and notices a young man that is listening avidly to her husband as he's explaining some maneuvers for fighting. And hours later, after she's gone back to check in on the new family, she hears her husband exclaim in surprise as she sees him from the flat of his back as this young man has flipped him. And then there's a blizzard, and the firelight is shining on blood-stained hands as she's working with surgical tools to remove a musket ball from her beloved's shoulder. Steady hands, but panic etched into her eyes as she knows that there's not anyone left that can heal the way that Askelin could, and she doesn't know that she's good enough to make sure that she can keep him safe. And then on to some happier moments. She's walking quietly through the forest with her bow drawn and a competitive look on her face as she's stalking some buck, knowing that there's another hunter nearby. And if we see them, it is a familiar face, although now much older than the young man who had surprised her husband so. And it feels so good to just use the skills that she was born with before a star fell and changed her life forever. And then we see Pagan is standing close by, keeping a wary eye and guarding her as she's working her way through a longhouse that is filled with fevered and blistered Indigenous people. And she's doing her best to help ease their symptoms and calm their nerves, just doing anything she can to bring them comfort. To a few days later, where she's using a surgical tool to put a scratch on a bare shoulder in the hopes that she can help inoculate the remaining healthy to this terrible disease as they start to burn their dead in the back. And Halbfor returns and starts to explain that these people were knowingly traded infected goods in an attempt to dwindle their numbers and steal their land by people who had more ambition than empathy for the human life. And they then that evening, as they're walking through the forest with the orange glow lighting them from behind, this becomes more of a dream for Jelena. And she watches herself and her husband walk back to where they had gone, but her attention is drawn back to that orange glow, and she walks towards it. And when she enters the clearing where, in memory, it was a burning trading post, now there are 3 pillars, a light, and a figure standing in front of them. And this is a familiar scene for her. She's dreamed it many times. And there's a figure standing ahead of them. And she dares not look at it. I know this is my fault. I do not need you to show it to me again.
Again and again and again until the lesson is learned.
I hesitated for mercy.
Mercy. Is that what you call it? Not cowardice.
What was I to do? I could not save them.
I could not save them. Oh no, I am helpless. I am not powerful. I can't do magic.
If I had, it would only have made things worse for everyone. We would have been hunted. But you cannot say that I didn't. make my point made at the end.
Oh, you did. But they didn't get to see it, did they?
You're right. I hesitated, and 3 good people lost their lives because of me.
3 hearts no longer beating, and yours beats strong.
Yeah, more than just 3, though. Isn't it? History has told us that it is always going to happen. Again and again, people will do what they must because they are afraid. I cannot. I cannot bear this anymore.
Oh, no, 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 no. You don't get it. This is you.
It cannot be me. I am meant to protect.
But what do you do? Do you protect? Did you protect them, Jelena?
No. I did not.
And what does that make you?
It makes me angry.
Now you're saying something I like.
I cannot. What I cannot bear is the look in their eyes should they know what happened. I cannot bear the look of horror in Halbfor's face when he arrived. I cannot be you.
It's so sweet that you think you're not already.
And I think here the perspective changes, and Jelena is now part of the pyre that is burning. And the faces that were originally in that memory, which has been twisted, are not the villagers, but they are her family. There's Gilgamesh and Loki, and there's Mila, and there's Anoush and Ida, and holding the torch that will set the pyre alight is her love. And as it emulates, it is then that she will wake up, and she hopes that she's been able to stifle the scream. She's not always capable of doing it. And if she manages to not wake her sleeping husband, if he is there, she will slip from their bed, and she walks outside under the moonlit canopy until the sun rises, until she can slip back into their home to hopefully not wake him, and back to the bed.
Thank you all for your prologues. We come now to the beginning of our story. It is the year 1759, and the French and Indian War is raging in the American colonies. Britain and France are contesting the northern territories of the continent and doing battle to see who gets to keep what land. Local native tribes are fighting on both sides of the conflict. On a stretch of land between two lakes, in a spot vital to an important travel and trade route, sits Fort Ticonderoga, or as it is currently called, Fort Carlin. Last year, this star-shaped fort successfully repelled 16,000 British troops with only 4,000 defenders. But currently, the fort holds only 400 troops, a token occupying force only, and it is about to face a threat for which it is not sufficient. General Sir Geoffrey Amherst is approaching with over 11,000 men and a full complement of artillery. If Ticonderoga can be taken, it can be put to good use by the British Empire, and the troops can move on to further conquests of what is currently called New France. It is July 22nd, and Amherst's men have taken up the old French lines of battle from last year. The outer walls of the fort are not defended due to the lack of men in the fort, so the British are able to make their emplacements quite close. It is a beautiful, sunny day. The silence is broken by occasional French cannon fire, but nothing that causes serious injuries. All in all, it's pretty chill. And indeed, few casualties are expected, for the person calling himself Geoffrey Amherst is in fact an immortal man with the power to see the future. Centuries ago, this man, known by his contemporaries as Robert of Vaux, foretold this battle, and he saw that the commander of the fort would retreat and attempt to blow up the fort, and that afterwards a meteor would fall into the center of the fort, and it is that meteor, rather than some petty patriotism, that truly brings him here. But Robert is not the only immortal here, and the first thing he does when he arrives and gets his tent set up is to send for a young person in his troops going by the name of Matthew.
Yes, a young, again, Ida, when it comes to these times, Ida has found that being a young man still there in the space between the liminal space between childhood and manhood, that not quite a man, definitely not a child, is this young, appearing to be Indigenous, a person. Matthew is the name that was thrust upon him by the Western colonizers. Um, Mohegan is the name that they chose for themselves, which really is only used amongst the Mohican tribe and the nation that they are a part of. But Matthew steps uh, in the heat of summer, bare chested, really only wearing leggings, deerskin leggings, and moccasins to protect their feet. But he steps into the tent. As a reminder, what is Amherst's rank? Do we know?
Yes, he is. Well, he's a. Sorry, my brain
Yeah,
left away. He's a knight. He is a general, and he is commander in chief of the British forces in the Americas.
General Amherst, you called for me.
He dismisses everyone else, and they quickly scuttle out. They are used to his peculiarities by now. And he says, I have to remain here, obviously, to take care of all of this. It would be impossible for me to pull myself away. However, everyone will be gathering soon, I think. You should go. If there's any sort of council held, and he pulls off a signet ring from his finger and holds it out to you. You have my vote.
Understood. Once everyone leaves the tent, the kind of the slouch of adolescent completely leaves, and this straight, like, the whole posture changes. And Mohegan takes it and nods and says, "Understood. Is there anything else you want to pass along to our friends?"
No, I think everyone knows what they're to be doing at this time, and I'm doing my job. So just let
Understood.
them know it's handled up here.
Yes. And with a nod and a little bit of a wry smile, they head out and leave the tent, and they head towards a what is considered uh yeah, Switzerland, the Switzerland of the situation. So they're heading to a familiar trading post, to see what wares their friends are shilling at the moment, and to catch up.
Marvelous.
I think if you're looking for Jelena, though, she might be in/outside the fort if this is the middle of the day. At
Yeah.
the stall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. So yeah, they would definitely stop by there. Um, again, looking for all intents and purposes like a very shy boy speaking to a extremely beautiful older woman. And Miss, you're well today?
Hello. Of course.
Is there anybody, since this is kind of the middle of everywhere, of everything, is there does it seem like I could potentially have a word without too much uh notice being, could I be stealthy about it? Could I, like, say something without people being like, why is this young boy having this weird conversation with a white woman? A white woman?
No.
No.
Uh, if you're asking Jelena, I think it's probably a quiet moment. There is no one nearby.
Pagan is nearby.
Well, there's Pagan.
Halffor insists that Jelena never goes alone anymore.
Have we
Is there
heard
anything?
is has is there any gathering planned that you've heard of?
No, unfortunately, I have not. This is a face that Jelena recognizes as. Yes, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
No, I have not heard anything. Halfthorn might know, but he's not here at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't have much information for you. I was going to bring something in, or at least try to bring something in for Anoush later, if you will see me.
I don't think you'll have a problem being in his presence. That does not mean he will see you. He is fairly focused.
I've seen the blind focus of his eyes. I know what you mean.
Mahigan kind of almost like flipping a coin through their fingers, like that trick, holds up the signet ring only for her to see. And it's a fairly familiar, I would imagine it's a fairly distinctive piece.
Yeah.
And I will say that as soon as Halfthor and Jelena and Anoush, I mean, Ida would have forced themselves onto Anoush for at least a moment to be like, I'm here. I am here. You can't get rid of me. Like, do what you're doing, but I'm going to be watching. But they have been very open with everybody about what they've been doing and working with Robert, and they've been very clear about full transparency.
Mhm.
Um, so because they're tired of they're like, we're on the same side. No one has time for this. But uh the general seems to think that plans might need to be underway, or he wanted me to pass along some words. So perhaps I will go find your husband.
That seems like a good idea. I was preparing this basket to bring in to Anoush. I will try and bring him out. Um, do you think that there's a good place to meet?
I think back at the trading post feels like it has
Very
the
well.
most security.
Very well. It's good to see you.
Always good to see you. Do you want me to stay?
I think it is. If you have things to do, it is all right. Go find Halfthor.
Okay. All right. Um they you've found that your sibling, because that is what you are to them,
Mm-hmm.
watches you very carefully and might not know things but knows things, uh and just kind of watches you for a moment before you're a grown person. I will like that kind of idea of like, you're an adult, you can I won't, you already have an overbearing husband, I won't add to it, so I'm gonna go. um but they smile, and as they head out, they kind of jab Pagan in the side, just like with a little punch, just like eh, and then jog off before he can do anything. Just like, yes, so next time we have time, I have new moves to show you.
I'll take you out, kid.
Always. And yeah, so they continue on to find Halfthor.
All right. Um, Jelena, after Mahigan leaves, um, of all people, are used to having a voice inside your head, but not this one. When Mahigan leaves, you hear a small, polite voice in your head saying, "Well, that was a fascinating conversation," and up onto the table next to you hops up a small black cat.
Oh, Bast. It is so good to see you, Bast. She'll give her some pats.
Oh, that's wonderful. You know, I haven't been fed in days.
Oh,
In days.
well, we have the finest of mackerel for you, should you wish.
I wish very much.
Wonderful. And she'll pull out some fresh catch from this morning that we were supposed to sell, but fuck it. She'll
the,
put it down for Bast.
the little cat begins to munch on the fish and chat with you in your mind at the same time. It says, Well, I suppose this is where it all happens now.
I mean, for this time, yes.
You don't seem enthused, if I don't mind me saying.
Ah,
Actually, even if you do mind me saying, you really don't.
it is quite all right. Um, the this brings about um dark thoughts. It's a stressful time. I am reminded of Belgrade and the cannon fire. I jump still. You would think after this long I'd be used to hearing it, but I'm not. I
Scares
don't
me
know.
every time.
Well, are you a scaredy cat? I'm sorry, that wasn't as funny as I thought it was going to be.
No, but that's all right. You're only human.
Yeah, this is true. Do you have any hopes for this starfall?
Well, I've been spending the last while gathering up my friends and family,
Ah,
distant relations, and I thought it would be nice to have some company, you know?
I think that would be wonderful for you. Is anyone else in need of a good meal?
Well, now that you mention it,
Yes. Okay. Put some many fish into a basket that was gifted from a good friend. Lead the way, best. And she picks up another basket and gives a gentle look to Pagan, knowing he will be following,
indeed,
and
so
closes down the trading post for the day.
Bast leads the way. And we'll move from there to Mohegan reaching the trading post.
I think you find Halbfor trying to piece together what this person is saying, because they have a Quebecois accent, and he still is not used to that, versus knowing his like more appropriate and correct Français.
Why are you coming for the
What do you mean?
Canadians?
Do you mean? Are you asking why I'm being historically accurate? Are you asking what?
At this time, it would still be le propre français.
No,
Quand même.
it's already fucked up. It's already bad. No, yeah, I think he is he acts as, as a polyglot. He acts as there's not very many outside of French, and maybe some other tribes that speak a different dialect, but he has the added benefit of mind reading, so he can translate very well.
Yeah.
And so he's doing that right now for a particularly fucked up trader who's trying to say that they don't want that HBC it will take these if we won't, and that they'll just send all their business there. And you hear a man known by Jean-Michel say, "It's not gonna get old, guys." He says to this man, "You do what you must, but you're not gonna do it here. It's either whole animal or nothing."
All right. I'll go to WBC.
And then he looks over at her with a knowing look. and there will be somebody who follows their camp.
Okay.
Ah, Mohegan. Would come to, and he walks with you to his residence. It's very cozy.
Yeah.
Like many couples, Jelena has done 95% of the interior decorating. There's just like a couple runes scratched in the doorway. There's I would imagine like a lot of, it's summertime right now, but still a lot of the like chairs and stuff are wrapped in furs. And there is just like a scent, right, it has the scent of an herbalist or of like a witch's hut, right, where it is strong everything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an undeniable, and no matter what she does, you cannot get out the smell of fish oil just lingering just underneath.
Your wife is going to attempt to rouse the bear before coming back, trying to get Anoush out of his hole.
Does Halfthor know about a coming conclave meeting?
There's general talk of meeting up at this time because of it being here, but no one has said anything about specifically this. There's a meeting at this time and place. Or anything like
He
that.
would have told then Edmund and or sorry, what are the sailors again? Sorry, not
Edmund and
Edmund. I knew it was something like that.
And Otto.
And Otto.
And Otto. Edmund and Otto. He would have told Edmund and Otto then that the space he specifically designed to take the orb after fall is sufficient if they need it. There was talk of some sort of meeting coming. I think if I hear anything, I obviously will make sure you know. Do you have any news from Robert?
They hold up the ring. He says that he is going to be unable to leave, but everything is in hand as far as his part of the plan.
Well, when you see him next, tell him he need not worry. As long as he behaves himself, I'll be there to save his skin when he gets his ass whipped again.
It's unnerving how compliant he's being, to be honest.
I know you've traveled this country and you've talked to a lot of many tribes. The Inuits. Do you know how they hunted wolves?
I have seen, yes.
Yes, they dip a knife in blood till it's covered in ice. And the wolves come and they lick and they lick and they lick until they're just lapping up their own blood and die by their own enjoyment. I don't know that Robert is being compliant as much as he is letting us lap up our own blood, if we do choose so.
Cheerful as always, Halfthor. Also, you've got new name. New name has got to be chosen.
No,
truly.
I'm still. We're only about 10 years into Jean Michel. I really like this name.
I don't.
If it fits.
It doesn't at all. Oh, just it's the worst. Right. So, actually, because I am probably everyone's able to run around, but I can kind of stealth and go around. Have I noticed any of our the rest of our empowered brethren? Have I seen anybody else that and that I can pass along to say, like, obviously Bast is here. Maybe I don't know that Bast is here, but Jelena does. So is there anybody else that I would have seen or made contact with?
Actually, I have an idea. I think Halfthor would think he has enough juice and would say, hey, just tell everybody to be here in, say, we'll call it sunrise, to meet in the, I don't know, I'll call it the rotunda. Because I would imagine he built it as a circle with tunnels going all different directions that pop up all over, like, the forest and the area.
At sunrise?
Yeah, actually, if a meeting is necessary, then we should call one. Let everybody know in tomorrow at sunrise in the rotunda.
I think if our last starfall is any indication, a meeting beforehand would be ideal instead of Loki
Agreed.
just kind of being Loki
Yes.
about it and Gilgamesh being a innkeeper. I don't know. Like we should probably all
Yeah,
have a
I
conversation.
mean, it there is a lot that we should do differently than the last couple thousand years. So I agree. If one hasn't been called, then who better to call it than us? Has anybody seen? I mean, obviously, I know many of our compatriots are hard to spot. I mean, Loki could have. I mean, fuck, Loki could be Hurrit for all I know. I guess.
Sure.
Could have been. Yeah. Um. Uh. But so I know some of them are hard to spot. But has anybody seen Gilgamesh? That is not someone hard, like, so easy to miss. He's
Have I seen a man
the
with so many
size
dogs?
of a fucking small log house.
He's a big guy. No one has seen Gilgamesh yet. So far, it's pretty much just you guys.
Okay.
How far out are we from? Because Halfthor knows as well and told everybody, right? That how far out are we from the fall?
A few days.
A few days. Yeah. Well, if he is not here yet, he will be shortly. So maybe we say tomorrow at midday then. Not everybody's as much of a morning person as me.
I don't know that midday is necessarily the best idea. If there are people hiding amongst ranks, getting away in the middle of the day might be difficult.
Sundown?
I think that might be give people
Much more
more time.
dramatic as well. Jelena will love it.
God. You're adorable, all of you. Right.
Have you talked to Anoush?
Two
Yeah.
is not the word I would use. I have
was gonna
talked
say,
at
I
him.
think, yeah, I would guess maybe more is you answered the question then. Has he talked to you? Because yeah. Right.
No. And it is concerning.
Agreed.
Right. Is there anything that I can do past spreading the word?
Just make sure whoever you're in contact with make sure anybody you don't want to suffer our fate is not around. Just that small reminder,
That is not a reminder. I appreciate it. It's not a reminder I need. I would consider that to be everybody. So you Hurrit is still,
as far as I know.
well,
exceptional. The world needs people like her to outlast a lifetime. I believe that.
With this starfall coming, I'm getting reminiscent. Did I tell you what Robert said to me when I met with him a few years ago?
No. Well, maybe you did, but I was pretty upset when you told me about the meeting, so this is...
that I don't fit into this world and it's not worthy of me. What does that even mean?
Fucking rigid man. Okay. First of all, as we know now, it is largely people that look like me and Robert who do not accept that. There are plenty of cultures across this nation and across the sea and the one in the land, in the continent below us, that are very accepting and understanding and grateful for the place that people like you play in society. Now, is the West, I don't know if you want to use worthy or not, sure, that is a framework that I could accept, but I would say that they are misguided, and that it is often the people that Robert has direct influence to and over who continue to reject people like you, Ida. And perhaps with more people like Hurit taking these positions and taking these gifts, perhaps we could create a world where sense prevails.
Well, hopefully we live long enough to see it happen.
Long way me endure.
Listen, it's so dramatic. Anyway.
I hate it.
Well, of course you do.
And of course, Gilgamesh, fucking anything he says, everybody loves. God damn it. How do you get all the gifts?
I mean, when you were the first one, kind of.
Fair enough.
Okay, right. So I'm going to spread the word. Sundown tomorrow. Hopefully, that will be enough to tempt Anoush out.
Yeah, I don't. Good luck to us all, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Anything you would like me to pass along besides that?
No.
Great. You need to wash up because you're covered in blood and also smell like fish.
I'm not. It's only my arms that are covered in blood. It's not. I am not covered in blood.
I pity your wife.
Just my arms.
I pity your wife.
Hey.
It's the fish. It's the fish. It's truly the fish smell.
It reminds me of home.
Yes, I understand. Again, I pity your wife.
Do you need more herring?
Never once.
It's salted.
Excuse me. And a small cat pushes his way into...
Way too excitedly. Halffor. immediately lights up at the sight of this small cat.
And is followed by another cat, and another cat,
Oh,
and another cat.
Ida bursts out laughing because this is now his problem.
I couldn't help but
Um,
hear you talking about fish, and I haven't been fed in so long.
oh, you poor thing. That's awful. Yes, yeah, there's, come, and he takes them to out behind, uh, one of the fishmongers, or the fishmonger. And there's just like, it's just like a bucket of guts that they use as like chum.
Mm.
Takes a couple big scoops, puts it in some bowls. It's mostly like organs and like, fish heads kind of thing.
Is I'm assuming the one that talked was Bast.
Yes.
Ida would would crouch down amongst the cats, wouldn't want to interrupt the meal too much, but would be next to Bast and would say, um, "Are any of our other friends around that you've seen? Have you seen anyone?"
Oh, well, I saw Gilgamesh coming in, but he is being standoffish because dogs.
Ah, great, excellent. Loki, have we seen that troublemaker?
I know where Loki is, but I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh, come on. And
Well,
Ida
it would
reaches
be
out and is scritching.
lovely if you could tell them that we are going to have a meeting tomorrow in the rotunda at sundown. You have to reach into Halfthor's arms because he is holding Bast,
Bast
scritching
is
the
trying to
top of
eat.
the head.
Bast hasn't eaten in days.
Yeah,
Hasn't
and
eaten
there's a
days since
floating
earlier.
bowl, and there's a floating bowl of food that Baz is eating out of, and it is just being scritched in between the ears on the top of the head in Halfthor's
Bast is
arms.
going to turn into that cat that guilts both of its owners to feed them at different times of the day. It just gets
I
so
picked
bad.
that up immediately. I was like, Sarah is 100%
Yeah.
lying that this cat
Yeah.
is not eating.
Of course. That's every cat.
Every cat in the world. I'm
Every
so
cat.
hungry.
Oh my God.
I'm so hungry.
I'll never eat again.
If you-
It's the what is it's Zay Frank and his the sad cat diaries.
Mm.
The my keepers have locked the door on me. They have forsaken me. That is this person. Right. Bast. Perhaps you and your family, I could help too. I just need to know where people are so I could go. Well, I can go talk to Gilgamesh. Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but would you be willing? I can also share some very good food. It's not quite as good as mackerel,
Mm.
but I've got some very, very good venison.
Mm. I don't
If you
get that
could,
off.
we know how to do things with our tribe. So if you would like to help, maybe we could split duties and go spread the word that we're going to be meeting at the rotunda tomorrow at sundown. What do you think?
Sundown? All right.
Will you at least give me a clue to who else might also be here so I'm not just staring at people in a creepy way? I will do it. I'm fine with staring at people in a creepy way, but
That's good, I guess. I haven't seen anyone else.
only Gilgamesh and Loki.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Um I will do you know if Jelena made it down to speak with our friend Anoush?
I think so. I wasn't paying a lot of attention when I left, honestly.
I understand.
Belly was too full.
From the fish they haven't eaten in days. Right. Well, you enjoy your meal. Enjoy just tormenting Halfthor. You're not tormenting him. He loves you. So just shed so much hair all over everything.
You could never upset me.
Never?
There is always food in our house. There's always room. I can make you your own room
My own room?
with a door on your own.
Jelena's going to lose her husband to a cat.
Yeah, we
Little
can
swinging door.
We have a little swingy. We could decorate it. We could put some effigies of your former form of the. Yes. There's tons of gold buried all around here, so we could totally make the Egyptian thing work.
I haven't had an offer like that in a while. I'll think about it.
Think about it, please.
Ida just is laughing. This is the most they've been able to like let loose in a while because they can be pretty much authentically who they are. And now they have to put the mask back on, but they smile at Halfthor. I will go find Gilgamesh and take a look around.
In your head, you hear, tell the old man we need to talk before tomorrow's meeting. And when I say we, you can invite Anoush, but I think the four of us with Gilgamesh.
He will be coming with a pack of dogs, so warn.
Got it.
Yeah. And Mohegan heads out. Actually, probably as soon as out of range of the herd of many cats goes into wolf form and heads off.
All right. We will shift to Jelena heading down to see Anoush.
I have a very quick question first. Is the trading post within Jelena's zones?
Depends on where she is.
We'll say in the fort, like about to walk into where she will find Anoush.
Then, yeah, that would be fine.
Okay. Around, within the hut and around, there are, like, just flowers starting to bloom. This is usually an indication of, like, when you get the chance, let me know what's going on. To Halfthor. And then I will knock on the door where Anoush is staying. And she'll turn to Pagan. Do you want to come in, or do you want to wait outside?
I should wait outside.
Is there anything you would like me to tell him?
Tell him. No, nothing.
Can I roll an empathy on that, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Just so many sad Taylor Swift lyrics.
That brings me to a fantastic.
Okay. He totally has things that he wants to say, and he feels like if he could just say them in the right way, in the right order, that everything would go back to the way it was.
Mm.
But he doesn't know how to do that, and he thinks that he can't, and he thinks that maybe the fact that he can't is why they're not together anymore.
Oh,
That
I think it is.
Those sentences were sadder than anything that Courtney and Cameron said.
Yeah,
Devastating.
That
absolutely.
was fucking. God. Coughing baby versus an atomic bomb.
Yeah. It is a rarity that Jelena will touch anybody other than her partner for very long, but she gives Pagan a hug before going to knock on the door for Anoush's attention. And then if he doesn't answer, she's just going to walk in.
It opens before you knock, and Anoush's... The second you see his face, he turns it away from both of you. I think his eyes linger a little bit on Pagan, and you can see just a couple of tears start to like well up, and then they grow cold, and he moves into his space.
She places a basket that has food and any sort of like small like supplies that you may have asked them for, like machine parts or whatnot. She's like, "How are you, Anoush?"
Wordlessly, I think he just takes the basket, takes any perishables, and goes to kind of a corner in this small space. It looks like the dirt is loose there, and he starts to dig out like large like clumps of the earth, and then puts like perishables underneath there, and then turns to Jelena, and without answering her question, it keeps them cold.
You are always rather ingenious. There is food in there for you to eat now. You are looking... Gaunt is a generous word, my friend.
I do not remember the last time I've eaten.
You know, that seems to be an issue amongst us who live for a rather long time. Bast is constantly forgetting to eat as well.
Please do not say those words in my space. That little kitty cat is more of a nuisance than anything else.
I think she is good for you.
I think what is good
the more
for
you are
me...
irritated, the more we know you are still alive. Huh? All right. We will be meeting at the trading post. I do believe Mahigan was mentioning that, was asking if I knew about a meeting that was to happen, which I know not of, but I'm here to collect you because you will be coming with me, whether you want to or not.
Am I to be collected?
Good.
I don't know.
Is there anything you would like to show me? What have you been doing?
I think Anoush just looks around at this space. Jelena, I think, sees fear the moment you mention he is to be collected and you are to leave. Jelena, this is what I've been doing. This meeting is cutting it close, do you not think?
Perhaps. But I'm assuming it takes quite a long time for people to come in from wherever they were coming from.
What if we miss it?
I don't think that there's anything within you that would allow that to happen. I, on the other hand, couldn't care. But that is me.
My friend, I'm beginning to think there are a lot of things I cannot control.
I feel like that is a good lesson for you.
Or more of a curse. Long may we endure.
Yes, long may we endure our curses.
You seem different, than
I am.
when we first met.
Oh, she was a young girl.
Not still hold on to the things before. No.
Can I call for you to make an empathy roll on her?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Emotional PvP.
That is 4 negatives I
Yes.
rolled, and my empathy is average.
Accurate.
Okay, great. She looks like you just said something funny.
Have I said something funny?
Yes, holding on to the best. That seems like quite the daunting task.
It is.
Hmm.
It very well might be the hardest thing we ever do in our existence. But it is important, no?
Oh, of
He
course.
gestures
This is
to
why we...
all of the books and all of the scrolls kind of scattered throughout this place.
And the best way to keep them in record. Collect what you must. You may have a moment. I will help if you wish. But prepare yourself to get ready to go.
And if I refuse?
The ground gently starts to shake. I am well practiced at dealing beautiful things that would rather present their thorns. I will not let you be planted here where you do not flourish for too long.
Can I show you something before we leave?
Please.
Anoush exits this space past Pagan without giving him a second look and leads you down kind of a dark corridor where there is another door. This space is about 20 feet below the laboratory, down a long hall. And as the door opens, this room is frigid, even in the summertime. There's nothing here except an unlit torch that he quickly lights on the wall. And as the soft orange and yellow glow illuminates this space, it is mostly shadow. There is a singular coffin in the middle of this room. Come.
She will follow.
This is another project I have been working on. And I do not know if it is more important than all of this large trap for a falling star, but I believe it reminds me of what I used to be. As you look over this coffin, and as he very meticulously removes nail after nail, and scrapes aside the lid, you see Anoush stitched up at joints, head sewn on, a torso dressed exactly like the man that you see in front of you. But you can tell, and I think you specifically, Jelena, can tell that it is rotting. What do you see?
Well, your stitches have always been a little sloppy. But I think I see what you wish for.
The wish is distant, you know? I do always find something more to collect up here. But I do know eventually it will run out. If I miss this, Jelena, if I do not catch this star, I have to wait. I have to wait hundreds of years. Every moment I can feel. Every second I know this will never be. Every day I grow stronger. If this meeting makes me miss this, I do not know what I will become.
Do not forget what we are all here for. And Jelena places a gentle hand on your wish and caresses their face. She's like, I know what it is like to be both dead and alive.
But at least you can die.
Yeah.
All of you. You are holding on, and I cannot let go.
I'm very sorry.
No. No, do not be sorry. Do your job. Take me where you need. But take this also with you. This knowledge. I am ready.
Of course. Let's go. And then Jelena will lead him to the trading post.
All right. Moving back to Ida. You find the scent of Gilgamesh quickly enough. He's not far away in the forest. You can tell before you get there that he's camping, that he has a lot of dogs with him, that he's not alone. And you approach and you see him having a cup of something, some sort of drink, with a strong woman who you've met before. This is Hippolyta. And even every time she looks a little buffer. She's just kind of like that, but she is cut Man, she is. Yeah. So the dogs are all sort of laying together in the little clearing that they're camped in. And Gilgamesh and Hippolyta are sharing a drink.
Um,
The dogs notice you as you notice them,
yeah.
and they start to uh, stand up and growl in your direction.
Um, Ida keeps a respectful distance from the pack. And has gotten into the habit of carrying clothes like in their jaw as they run at this point, because this is not the Hulk situation. There's no spandex yet. It's bad.
Okay.
Although a wolf in Hulk pants is very funny to me. So Ida uh, shifts back um, and uh, walks forward, hands uh out, but in deference to the dogs, respectfully, again, just knowing the pack tactics there, and looks up at Gilgamesh and Hippolyta with a little smile. It says, "You're cutting it close."
Come, come, share a drink with us.
Right. They step in. They're naked. They don't care at this point. They're just like, "Oh, I got the pants. It's fine. I'm just around the dogs."
Cool.
Takes a drink. Um, Bast had seen you, Gilgamesh, mostly because of the dogs. So,
Mm.
but Hippolyta, it's good to see you.
She holds out her arm and clasps yours and nods. Good to see you as well. How do you fare?
Uh, it's a bit like hearing the thunder. Backwards. It's a backwards metaphor I'm about to do, but it's, hearing the thunder and waiting for lightning to strike, and it hasn't come yet. Something is coming, obviously, and there's tension for many reasons. Um, they look at Gilgamesh. Halfthor has. We believe that there should be a meeting of the minds. Probably all told tomorrow evening at the place that they have prepared to catch our star. But Halfthor was hoping to have a word before then. Gilgamesh.
Of course. He stands up, and it's always a reminder of how huge this man is as he stands and stretches. Well, then let's get it started. And he starts breaking camp. He says, Horace, will you take the dogs to a safe place for now? And one of the dogs stands up, winks at you, and leads the other dogs away.
I love it. Hello, Horace. He's just. Bast was being coy, but Loki has also arrived. Did you arrive together, or are you aware?
No, I've not seen him.
Bast does. So I will. I have tempted them with venison. So
That
hopefully
should work.
that should work. Do you know they haven't eaten in days? Just ask them.
Oh goodness.
Yeah,
Well, we should correct that for sure.
absolutely. Um, right. Well, yes. I guess come along. Puts the pants on. Can't really walk around. I mean, I could, but I'm not gonna. Uh, um, and leads Gilgamesh. But if Hippolyta wants to come along as well, um, not gonna. I'm not gonna argue with mommy. Not happening.
Yeah.
The cut lady is gonna come. That's fine. But as wanders, and I think as they're walking, um, updates updates them on things that like Halfthor and Jelena would have already known about, just kind of like what's up with Robert, just like the basic keeping them up to date on like what's actually happening tension wise, like politically, like not for our purposes, but just like what actually is happening in the world, or like setting the scene for what is happening around us.
Mhm.
Um uh to catch them up to kind of speed on what could possibly be affecting our goal. So
Marvelous. They listen attentively and make appropriate noises at the appropriate moments um, as you walk back. And we'll have everyone getting to the trading post at the same time because that is convenient for the plot.
we made it. uh uh Ida looks over Anoush with a little smile. Getting some sunshine.
Anoush looks about as pale as a man can be.
Yeah.
Vampire legends are starting about this time. There's a reason.
Yeah. This is, you should definitely do this just 20 minutes every day. Just come out like a house plant. Just get some sun, get some water.
Ah, yes. This is a joke. Good, funny, yes.
I said it in a joking tone, but no, I'm you take care of
I
yourself, please.
or what? I'll die? See? I can make jokes too.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, good. Yes. Forget the fact that you have people who care about you and about your general well-being and would like you to have
Hey,
just a
hey,
modicum of.
look. If there is anything to take solace in, it is out of everyone here, I will be the last.
That's not a
And I look
reason.
directly at Gilgamesh and I say, long may I endure.
Ida is so tired of the dramatics. I mean, truly, just like the one thing they have learned in this time that they have had to live and grow and become an adult in these hundreds of years, almost 800 or so, almost 1,000 years. Living is not the same as thriving, Anoush. You can do both. And then just goes in and leads everybody in and just starts making pss, 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 pss noises for the cats
So
with
many.
venison. Just like, hey, Bast, got your venison.
Oh my gosh.
Anoush,
That's wonderful.
Anoush is physically disturbed by the cats.
There are a lot of cats.
Jelena makes her way over to Halffor and tucks her arm around his waist and gives him a bit of a kiss on the cheek. I see that you also fed Bast.
They were starving. They needed to eat.
Yes, I know. They were so starving when they came by the trading post around the
It
fort.
is
I had to give them
very
all of the mackerel for the day.
all of it. God. Okay. All
I
right.
don't like selling it.
I know. I just have to explain to her that why we
How
don't
about
make money, but we keep making money. Um,
look?
and
I
it's
can explain to
getting.
her it. It's
All right.
okay.
Thank you. Please.
Let's
And he
fight
goes over
down the
and
woods.
shakes. He goes over and shakes Gilgamesh's hand and says, "It's good to see you again."
Likewise, my friend. I'm so glad that you are. And he looks around. So present here. You and your wife fill the space with your presence, and I find it delightful.
That is impressive because I am quite short. Thank you.
Everyone is to me.
No, yeah.
Halftor kind of chuffs at that a little, like a little. He's 6 foot, but he's got a little short man syndrome around Gilgamesh. Um. Yes. Well, I. Not well with Bast here as well. I thought it would be. There are those who want to take a more direct hand from a newer generation, and those are represented here. And then he points to a ring that he's not wearing and gestures to Ida, and they are represented here from a newer generation. And there is no one else I could think who could be a better representation or network to the older. I would, before we officially meet tomorrow, would like to make sure the agenda is set and that we are of one accord.
Very well, speak to me. I will hear what you have to say. And he sits down and slaps his knees and just gets comfortable.
This situation geopolitically has gotten very out of control. I don't know how many stories, how much truth leaves with the stories that go across these oceans, but there is true horror being inflicted upon these people. I know that it was, in fact, my idea to help guide and keep an offhand. I think between what is happening here and in Africa and in Asia and to women everywhere. And I think there's like a can't help but have like a small, like anybody can roll a notice roll if they want to. We may need to do more.
It's fair.
I guess I can roll deceive.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. It's alright. I think it's good, and then that's +1, so fair doesn't get it. Yeah. Oh no, it's fair, so it's good. Ooh, I just beat it. Yeah. I think tomorrow we propose a more forceful hand in dealing with when Belgrade fell and the Ottoman Empire began to disappear. And Christians clearly seemed to take control of Europe. I don't think anybody could have guessed what would have come next. And what we've seen has not been good. In addition to making sure that we ensure the starfall is secreted away and that any individuals that we can control or agreed upon and all the other stuff that we're going to talk about, I believe that a discussion needs to be, a dialogue needs to be started. And I know that there's a generational gap between what we find necessary to step in for and what the elders do.
I'm not sure we're as monolithic as all that.
Yes, do believe. I mean, I don't think we're as monolithic as well. But I think the majority of both divides, sort of pre and post Hastings, mostly fall to one side or the other. I mean, Anoush, myself, and Robert refused to let a starfall go by without us being directly present, involved, and major players. And I don't know, what was it? How long was it between Vesuvius and Hastings? It's quite a while.
Yes.
Where curiosity seemed to be absent. So, just following trend lines. I just want to know your feelings on this, and if we can count on your support, or know that you will stand in opposition.
I see. He heaves a deep sigh, stands up, and approaches you, and does his best to, like, you can see that he is trying not to, like, overshadow you, like, physically. And he nods and he puts out his hand and says, "We have a Concord."
Thank you. Do you have anything to add? And he's holding Bast.
Well, what I think, and Gilgamesh is interrupted by the clearing of a throat as someone from the trading post comes in. There's a messenger outside from the big army.
Can I see them? Is he pointing at the messenger?
Yeah, he's just standing outside.
Yeah, I try to read their mind.
They have been told in a very loud voice by their commanding general to go to this place and bring back a list of people very, very quickly. He doesn't know why, but he knows that he is scared.
A list of people, you say?
Yeah.
Okay. He said Halbfor doesn't say that out loud. He says to his employee, send him in, and in everybody's head, it says, I think this is important to everybody in.
Okay.
I would like to roll stealth to try to like hide behind somebody, because if this is potentially somebody that knows that I work a lot with Amherst, I don't want them to know that I'm here.
Understood. So, make a stealth roll.
That's great.
All right. Messenger has a he spots you.
If I see, I was gonna say, if I see Ida trying to hide, can I possibly roll a will to obfuscate them in this soldier's mind.
Oh, sure.
With this
fuck
being
yeah.
Jelena's home,
Plus
I was
2.
going to offer the help.
Okay. Well then, in that case,
This
he
is
does not
superb.
spot.
Sorry. Yeah.
Awesome. I just tuck behind wherever I can, crouch.
He says, "I am here to," and he pulls out a short list. I am here to summon to the tent of my lord Amherst these individuals, if they are present, and he reads off a list of your names and some other names that aren't here.
Could I see in his mind who Amherst looked like, what Amherst looked like?
We would know.
It's Robert. Yeah.
Oh, it's Robert. Amherst is Robert. Sorry. I was thinking the other side. Oh, okay. Yeah, he's saying right now. He's got to come right now. Oh shit. Sorry. I only did that cuz I thought it was I got confused. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No worries.
And okay. Fuck. I hate that. I think Jelena sees a very frustrated look on Halfdoor's face of he's picking the fucking battlefield again. He's moving us to his place. And I think in everybody's head says, I think we should go. Because he has no reason to object yet.
She will make a very familiar look to her husband as if to start a private conversation, noticing his frustrations.
Yeah, the channel's open.
Do not forget that we have been here for 5 years and this land is my domain. All will be well. He merely wants to talk.
Okay.
I'm very sorry, Anoush. It would appear that I'm going to make you journey yet again.
You look at Anoush, he is crying. There is a dread look in his face, and he is on the verge of a panic attack.
Would you like something to calm your nerves?
You can see his breath is very controlled, in and out, in and out. I think without having, like, if this land is yours, you would know that when you leave it, there is a sense of like detachment that I think you are seeing in Anoush's like face right now. Like going from the fort to this place was hard enough, but now learning that there is a second location and they are being summoned by Robert will probably be too much for him.
Would you like to be unconscious for the journey?
Anoush looks at you inquisitively and like raises an eyebrow and nods his head.
Gently, as if he was slowly placing a rear naked choke, Halfthor cuts the blood off to Anoush's brain.
I don't know if that works.
I mean, yeah, I think that would make you unconscious.
Yeah, you would go unconscious.
For
Okay.
a while.
I would. Yeah, he just physically closes.
Yeah.
As if you were feeling a squeeze.
That would totally work.
Yeah, and it's not completely right, so that you don't go, I don't know, brain dead and have to re-heal yourself and wake up and be whatever. It would literally just be enough to essentially induce sleep.
Jelena gives a sad and pained look at Pagan. And goes to collect some vials to keep Anoush comfortable should he begin to wake on the journey.
I have to speak with her quickly, but I think we should go without haste. I will meet you all at the front of the gate. And when he goes to hear it, he says, if I'm not back by sunrise, and tells him that there are, and that if like something breaks out, like if battle breaks out and they need to leave, he tells them where there are the largest stashes of gold and gives them a name of a contact in Quebec to get the families to. There's only like 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, he gets a look on his face like, oh shit, I didn't know shit was real, but it is obviously real. Okay.
And he puts his hand on his shoulder and says, I'm sure this is not goodbye, but in case it is, it's been an honor to know you.
Likewise.
And then he goes to the front of the gate because he has no idea what Robert's gonna do, and he lives paranoid all the time.
All right. You all travel accompanied by some cats. Not all the cats, but some of the cats. To the emplacements of the army. And you find Robert not in his tent, but standing atop a hill. And when you come closer, he beckons you to come and points down at the fort. And it takes a moment, but there are boats coming in. Boats that look like they're full of men. And you look at Robert's face and you see something that you haven't really seen much on Robert's face, and that is startlement, surprise. And he says, this wasn't supposed to happen. I saw this. I saw the defenseless fort. I did not see reinforcements. Something has happened. And I don't understand. And he looks for a moment afraid.
Yelena's going to start to look through. Did Anoush bring anything with him?
No. Absolutely not. Anoush would not bring a soul. He doesn't even have shoes on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a fantastic to see into Robert's brain.
Okay. You poke into Robert's brain. Robert is reconsidering his entire life.
Holy shit. I think Jelena sees fear on Halfbor's face. I don't think
scopes exist. Right, sorry.
Yeah. Telescopes? I don't.
Yeah, they've been invented.
Rifle. Yelena's going to grab the rifle from Halfthor's back and take the scope from it, and she's going to start to look at the ships to see if she can recognize anybody on it.
Ida is going to turn into a falcon and fly up into the sky, circle the boats, and try to get a bird's eye view as well.
I think Anoush starts to wake up. if everyone's distracted.
Yeah.
Ha! Where are we? What is happening? We're not back yet.
May I roll something for looking through the scope?
Absolutely. Give me a notice roll.
Thank you. I'm
I
going
will-
to use my aspect huntress or hunted.
Okay.
I would also like to help because Halffor dealing with blood and microscopes and small on the micro has learned to fine tune his telekinesis and adjust the cones and receptors in Jelena's eyes to see better through the scope.
Okay.
I need that.
That's
Thank you.
sexy as hell.
Cute.
So that help gives a +1.
Mhm.
With my fate point brings me to a legendary.
Marvelous. So you get a good look in the scope, and these are French troops. They look fresh from wherever they came from. There are also Indigenous troops in there. It looks
Where's
like
the flagship?
Hmm?
Where's the flagship?
There doesn't seem to be a flagship. It's just a small fleet.
Well, that's what I mean. Like every fleet has a like. Is there clearly like a commander's mark, or is these just like
There's
all the
not
same?
clearly
Okay.
commander's mark.
Damn.
And Ida, you are flying. You are seeing the thing that you see is that there are an awful lot of these ships and an awful lot of men on them. You would guess that there is at least another 10,000 men coming into this fort.
Jesus Christ.
How long until the star falls?
A couple days.
Can I tell with that falcon sight what tribes, what nations?
You probably can, but I don't have that prepared. So
Totally fine. But we'll figure that out. But I can see. So I'll
Absolutely.
have that. I'll have that. Okay.
I was specifically looking to see if there was anybody on the ships that I recognize.
Right. And no, there's no one that you recognize, unless you are familiar with French troops from New France.
I mean, Courtney kind of is.
Well, yeah.
Courtney kind of is.
Halffor says
Yep.
to. Oh, go.
Jelena just relayed everything out loud to anybody listening, and looks so sorry at Anoush.
Halffor is immediately turns to Bast and says, "We need your fleet feet. Everybody needs to be tonight at midnight in the rotunda. Word, tell everybody."
All right.
I think Anoush chokes out a few words. They are not the problem. The problem is that he is wrong. And he points at Robert. If he is wrong about this, what else does he not know?
I think you see a look of annoyance and then disregard as Halffor then turns to Gilgamesh and says, "Who else don't we know about? Is there another threat? Was there any that went rogue? Was there any who worked against you? Was there any who used their powers in a way that was different? If Robert did not see this, there's a good chance that the reason he can't is the same. Somebody has a power similar to obfuscate. Is there someone we don't know about?"
Okay. Gilgamesh frowns at the thought. At first, he looks almost offended, and then he considers. And as he is considering, there are shouts from the army that draw your attention back towards the fort as the gates of Ticonderoga open, and a single man on horseback emerges under a white flag of parley. And starts heading towards the British banner at a measured pace. A messenger, presumably. He comes to within shouting distance of the army and announces, "I am Lieutenant Sebastian Moulin. I come bearing a message for the General Amherst." And Robert gets his senses back about him enough to call out, "You found him. Speak your message." And Moulin clears his throat politely and says, "I was told that I could also tell my message to one Sir Robert of Hastings." And that shuts Robert up for a moment. And then after a short time, he barks, "Bring him to my tent." And he heads off to his tent, not apparently even noticing that you guys are around.
Can I stop
100%
Robert
follow.
before he moves? Can I
Yeah.
grab at Robert?
Yeah.
I look at him, and Anoush is panicking. Do you think you might be wrong about when it falls?
Give me an empathy roll.
It's what we're good
Ooh,
at.
I got 4 negatives again.
Damn.
You're not empathetic.
Okay. All right. So he says, "It's possible. I'm as scared as you are."
I must be there. Somebody needs to take me back.
You are your own man. If you need to go back, then go and do what you need to do. Hide, run like you will. And Halffor heads to the tent.
All right. Most of the rest of the group starts to head for the tent as well. Anoush, what are you doing? They're leaving you behind.
He watches them walk towards this tent, frozen in this space, not where he has been for the last decade or so. He kind of just collapses to his knees. And then he feels the blood in his body. In and out. And he stands up. And he follows them.
All right.
Ida is still a falcon watching all of this and flies towards as well.
All right. As the most of you get into the tent, Robert has set up a place for the messenger to sit. He has had tea brought. And as you come in, he says, "Lieutenant Moulin here was about to tell us his message." And the Frenchman nods and he takes a deep breath. And then in between that breath and the next, his demeanor just completely shifts. And, well, you all recognize the look of someone whose mind is on another's control because you've seen it. And he says, "Greetings to you all from the Morrigan. I have claimed this small fortress as my own. I have brought with me 10,000 men. When the star falls, we will have 10,000 new brethren. Your presence here is not needed. Our future is secured. Long may we endure.
Anoush screams, tackles this man.
And that's where we'll end our session.
Holy.
I don't like
The
that you made
fucking
me.
morgue.
I can't fight the Morrigan.
I'm gonna have a real fucking
Sarah.
panic.
Well, that was a tense one, wasn't it? So tense, in fact, I forgot to talk to you all. Thanks for joining us on this journey through history and superpowered adventure. Halley's Children is a big deal to us, and we hope you find it entertaining as well. So like, subscribe, blah, blah. And if you liked this episode, just wait till you see what's coming. See you next week.